are you, sir?
Hanging in there, just praying for my daughter, buddy.
We'll go ahead and bring Mr. Wells on. Can you expound on that a little bit? Because I have not heard anything about that. I don't know nothing about that. I hate that we have to see each other again under these circumstances. That's what this is all about, prayers. Thank you for all the support. And I know Don has turned a lot of hearts around.
Trying to do everything the best I can, you know. That was my whole life, was coming home from my kids. Prayers for Summer and prayers for everybody. God bless you, God.
Good morning. Good morning, everyone. How is everyone this morning? I want to first take a moment and thank all the moderators of this channel who have been committed to whatever vision I've had. And I want to first apologize to the moderators and also thank you at the same time. Apologize for making you wander through some of the BS and the crazy things that have happened over here. And I know that most of you ladies are here for Summer, and that so much of the other stuff is entertaining, but that should be done somewhere else, and it will be. So not that we're losing Benny or anything that Benny does. That's still very much a part of my personality, and I'm not trying to take away from who I am or whatever. But when I see in the last few days, 4 or 5 days, the way that the reception has turned, and I say that I have to go with, I have to go with that. I have to go with what works. And so much of what works is to keep you ladies informed the best way I can, and not be hiding, the high points of what we do here inside of 2 hours of other crap. And I owe it to Summer and her family, first off and foremost. Thank you, Amy. As I think some of us are aware, Jodie Sue has started to delete media videos. So that's it, Samantha. Thank you, G-Dog. It's interesting scenarios, because I seldom will delete anything. It's kind of like, if I said it, then I stand on it and I mean it. Wrong or right, I'll either ask for permission or ask for forgiveness. Hey, Case Kate. Hey, Amanda. Mama Jan. So as we go through the dynamics with Jodie Sue, you of course, these are all talks that we've had, but when you look in terms, and I guess what I'm still trying to do for myself is I'm still trying to gain an understanding of what Jodie Sue thinks her own involvement is. Because I think it's to me, it's questionable at this point what she thinks her role is. And I'm a little bit conflicted with dealing with Jodie Sue because as a man, and speaking with her in the messenger, I realized which route I would have to perform, in order to get the sort of information from Jodie Sue. And I'll tell you that it isn't one set way you have to be with Jodie Sue. She is sort of a very dynamic creature in that way. Again, I've said publicly and many times that Jodie Sue is very articulate. I don't know how cryptic she is. I think she may appear to some to be more cryptic than she actually is. So the crypticness of her dialogue, is also intriguing to me. Do I have a black eye? Man, never in life. Well, no, I take that back. I've had a few black eyes. But it's always been one of them scenarios where they're like, what do the other guy look like? And I've been beat up like the best of them. Conor McGregor, he's been whipped. Mike Tyson, he's been whipped. Muhammad Ali, he's been whipped. So many of these sort of glaring points about Jodie Sue's profile, they're still apparent. And not only that, you do. I explained this with a colleague of mine. We were talking about profiling. Now, even the suspect, in our opinions, after almost 7 months, a suspect, would be going through a range of emotions. They may be so squirrely, that they, just a change in the behavior initially in the beginning. But, we get over things, right? I can tell you, I've been in my younger years on the run for very, very serious charges. And about the time you get very comfortable with being on the run, that's when they get you. So, the likelihood that the offender's behavior may have settled into a groove at this point is probable. It could, but there again, it still leaves the hole open on the other side of the coin of probable with unprobable, right? So it just depends on the actual, the brain waves of whoever the offender is. But when you look at the people who haven't settled into their profile after 7 months, you have to start. I mean, we've kept a microscope on Jodie Sue and her situation for the better part of 4 months. And so, in portion, her input has been germane to this whole thing. Like, it has been, the very staple for a portion of this community, that is guided by her moral compass, right? There are a lot of people there, that I see that are more supportive of a domestic violence survivor than they would be a child of a child abuser, right? Like, so, we've heard some of this verbiage from Jodie Sue. Oh, I'd shake a baby, or, whatever. We all have heard it, right? And then the other pole of that is all of a sudden she's, very, very interested in, the dynamics of Summer being missing. So the video that we're going to look at today, I have not went through it. I will be very honest. What I did, not for you. We can see you just fine. I moved it back and forth. That's kind of how I do it. I don't want to listen to all of that really long crap. So I just kind of sweep the beginning until I find something that I feel like is, okay, this is a good starting point. And hey, profiling, I found her manipulative from the outset. Absolutely no from her. No, from her. Yes. You know, it's a strange situation. But when you look in terms of, you know, we have those, we've had those cases, you know, where there has been sort of that hero complex that brings the suspect back around. So that is part of a profile. And when you see Jodie Sue, like, you know, in terms of Jackie Dobbs, let's bring him, you know, into the conversation for a moment. Jackie Dobbs. Jackie Dobbs has just as much information about this situation, but he's chose to stay private. Now, of course, Jackie Dobbs has went through those periods where his sort of involvement will ramp. Like people will really be on to him and then they'll ramp down. And they'll be on to him and then they'll ramp down. And that sort of is perpetuated by the larger channels and then the trickle down, either their clip channel, you know, true crime clip channel, whatever, right? So, you know, something will motivate the algorithm for Jackie Dobbs and he will be in the highs and the lows, right? And it sort of seems like, you know, that Jackie Dobbs and Jodie Sue and Andy and a few of these other people, Frank Light, you know, these folks are all interchangeable on the high and in the valleys of this algorithm here, right? So, which in itself is sort of disgruntling to realize that there's sort of an algorithm that pushes the output that we see here. Kim, he did change his looks. That is one of the tall tale signs of someone that, you know, historically, right? You see it in all the movies. They rob a bank and then go to a gas station bathroom to, you know, cut their hair with a razor and color it, right? We've seen it 100 times. So we have those sort of historical cliches also built in, which do really follow, you know, behavioral patterns of offenders in the physical realm. So there is also a personality phenomenon of certain offenders, you know, that when they are apprehended, they contain a lot of newspaper clippings or, you know, media events that have to do with the crime at question, right? The crime they're involved in. They will sometimes be collectors of memorabilia and things. So, yeah, Mark, they are, but it's just the way it is, right? Hey, good morning, AF. I hoped you you got that kite I sent you last night. I put a thumbs up if you got that kite. I had to put it on. Okay, had to put it on a long string. So I guess what I'm going to be doing with Jodie Sue from here on out, and I hope that this approach doesn't affect the output of what we're getting. However, I believe it will. I believe that if I come at this situation much differently with Jodie Sue than I had before, of course, quite naturally, the output will be very, very different. Sometimes unpunished offenders revisit scenes too. Absolutely. It's to revisit the dopamine release and the feel-good chemicals in their brain, right? Is the extreme high. It would be, I don't know, could be equivalent to hugging Jesus or, you know, jumping out of a plane with no parachute. You know, just the most extreme high. So what I plan to do is periodically, as my network and feelers say, hey, we need to take a look at the Jodie Sue content this morning, then we will. So without further ado, I am going to run a little bit of Jodie Sue's content from last night. Now, to preface it all, she made many videos. Well, not many. She made 3 or 4 videos, I believe. We'll be able to see when we get back over there. Oh, profiling, you're blue. Yeah, it's a high like sexual pleasure. That's when you historically when you hear the commentary in the narration from serial killers, when they're sexually motivated, most of the time it's for a sexual release. So they don't necessarily have to be SAing their victim. They can still achieve climax through such an intense psychological stimulation. So it's essentially what that means is trigger warning. It would be essentially like having an ejaculation without being manipulated. So what we're going to do, thank you, G Dog. What we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and move forward with what Jodie Sue has laid down for us last night. Again, I didn't finish the preface. Let me preface it by saying that in the beginning of this video, now I want to mind you, Jodie Sue was pretty active for the past 2 days. And it looks like if you can keep up with her sleeping patterns, it seems like she's really operating kind of most of the time in a sleep deprived state. Not that she's alone, but so many of us are, right? So, but when you try to reverse engineer like what is going on in Jodie Sue's life that would really dictate such a lack of sleep, such a sleep deprived state or situation. It's not as if she has, a laborious job to get to. So you have to sort of quantify all of the ingredients in the mixture that's going to bake the Jodie Sue cake. So we're going to go ahead and move forward. Good morning, Honest Rage. So this was in the middle of the night. We'll get to a time stamp here, 6 hours ago. So that would have put that 4 or 5 in the morning. But that's not the only one. This would have been 6 hours ago. Then you had 6 hours, 16 hours, 17 hours. So when you look at this, 17 hours ago, she was sitting in that seat and she was all made up to look like this, right? That was the day before. So 17 hours ago, which would have been, yesterday between 6 and 7 o'clock, she was made up like this. And then 6 hours ago, which would be 11 hours later, she starts making videos again, and she's still dressed the same. So I asked myself what, kind of what's going on. I haven't watched these prior videos, but what we are going to do is we're going to jump into this last one because sort of Jodie's MO is that she kind of loads up. She sort of builds steam, like a teapot or a pressure cooker. And then a lot of times that last video that she's going to leave out there, she's sort of culminated and brought forward the things that she did earlier in the evening and sort of paraphrases it all again. Now that's not to say that this is what this is, but we're going to start right here at about the 26:50 mark. And she starts getting into a few of the happenings of the past few days in the past that have, by no stretch of the imagination, have irritated her. You can see that very, very clearly. So we're going to move forward with this.
Any medical profession. But anyway.
Let me move it back a little. 26:58.
tell what she's doing.
So, you know, at this point, we're 17 hours in. So I've missed a lot of what would bring Jodie Sue to get dolled up. If anyone in the chat knows, please go ahead and make me familiar. I don't know. Yeah, I know, Kennard. The volume is. Let me see here. Can try that, but I don't know how much that's going to raise me up. I don't know that it's going to raise up the anything else.
It is medical profession. But anyway, and then it became worse, and it grew, and it grew, and the monster you're seeing now. But yeah, not it's most fucking comical. All of a sudden, there's puppies, blood,
Hospital all day. Okay.
They're trying to fit. Yeah, they're trying to roll reverse.
I don't know that there is a closed caption option. I will check. I don't see a closed caption option, Amanda. I'm sorry. I need an interpreter. Yeah, I know. It's. Let's see. Settings. Yeah, it doesn't have. Yeah, Savage Life. Sandy's are a real thing. Monotone Judy's. Good, Chrissy. I'm glad. I'm glad.
Like Buffalo Bill, personality, onwards.
She said that we, if you caught that, she said that we are making her personality Buffalo Bill. Yeah, I don't think it will help. It just kind of is what it is. She definitely has toned down her voice. So, good morning, Miss Brandy.
Guy, lady over there, whatever you have. I'd love to tell you I'm joking right now. But almost.
It's on the Facebook, so I don't know. There isn't any. All it will allow me to do, Savage. Hey, Lauren. All it will allow me to do, Savage, is change the quality. Maybe that'll change the audio. Hey, let's see. 720. You gotta be well versed in the Sioux. I am well versed in the Sioux.
Salters had her on tonight, and Candace is drunker than a fucking skunk. Singing like, no. And as, like, anybody's following or watching the vids, this fucking shit show. No.
Hold on one second. This is for Buddy Love. The reason why I made a comment about her appearance is because she's clearly dolled up from what we normally see. And so that would suggest to us that we see the effect. What's the cause? Why is she dressed up? Right? That would be something that we're all monitoring here, bud or ma'am.
Was that several weeks ago now?
Correct. Candace was not drunk or drinking last night on Prayer Garden. That is correct. Yes, short and sweet. That's it. When she addresses me, she always puts, it's just some extra. And that, I kind of called it out, and it's instinctual, right? It's not anything that she can really change, I guess, right? She's just always going to, she's kind of, let me just say this. I guess most of you ladies know I'm a bad boy. She doesn't like church guys. She likes bad boys. So she's always going to perform for a bad boy, right?
Candace began already called in. Bullshit Candace already knew was something they made up. They
No.
Candace very well talking like it in person. Knew what actually went down inside of that hollow with Andy. Knows damn good and well Andy is good and bad, like was on camera all day.
So you're on camera all day until you're not on camera. And there is just some sort of confliction in a lot of people's minds with the time, the arena of time that she's laying down for us. Now, I'm going to let this play for a minute, and I'm going to allow her to continue to make these sort of these commentary. But then I'm going to have to play the Dr. Phil to back that up, right? Give me just one moment, guys. I should have already pre-scheduled this, but it just slipped it slipped my mind. Oh goodness.
You ever wondered what actors and
So we'll get to that when it's time.
And
okay, let me just say it now. Anytime from now on, Jodie Sue starts in and saying that anyone is, Don or Candace are lying, we got to preface it by saying what? They passed a polygraph. You haven't taken a polygraph, Jodie, although you beg for one. And I hope that you get what you're asking for. I hope that if you really want one, that you get one. I mean, I want that for you. I think that everyone would love to see you clear, right? So they passed the polygraph. So you got to know that anytime she says Candace is lying, you cannot take Jodie Sue's baseline of credibility as you can't take Jodie's word for it. You cannot take Jodie Sue's word for it. Now, as far as the polygraph is concerned, we do all know it's not admissible in court. But there also would be no reason for them to announce it and showcase it and frame it in a framework of Dr. Phil and then Sheriff Lawson, right? I mean, Sheriff Lawson could have came out first and said, yeah, they passed the polygraph. But actually, in all reality, what happened was that the results of the polygraph were so important that Sheriff Lawson let Dr. Phil announce it first. There is no way Dr. Phil could have or would have said that they passed the polygraph if, in fact, they had not. So we heard from Don and Candace for months their claim, their account, their truth that they passed the polygraph. Then Phil he goes back through all the different times that Don and Candace had said they passed a polygraph, and he corroborates them. So you do have a baseline of truth from Donnie and Candace in regards to being able to believe things they told you in the past, because the things they have been stringently and staunchly questioned about hooked to the machine were accurate. This one, however, what she is doing is she is spewing complete opinion. Complete opinion. It is her fact. It's her opinion can be her fact. But it's when you try to superimpose your opinion as factual, actual basis to anyone else. You can believe your own truth. You're supposed to believe your own truth. Now, if you're yoked and aligned mentally with the rest of the world in reality, then your truth is the truth. Does that make sense?
I'm sorry, this bullshit they're pulling us. But anyway, at the time, several weeks ago, Candace and Keys, that already called this bullshit in, knowing it was a lie then, and took, I swear to God, it's like ranch or beta around here. Okay, 10 steps backwards for every one you go forwards. That's
I disagree with that. I think when she says, and this is me just in my opinion interpreting, I believe when she says that, I'm not going to get into that. It's sort of on the fence, and I just don't want to take myself down there. This right here is called restraint.
kind of the point. They keep moving forward, for us to go back and re-explain and whatever.
So what I do want to mention and point out, one of the things that I always pay attention to when I listen to Jodie Sue is her tea, right? You just don't see. Thank you, Miss Terry. You just don't see the sort of reaction times. It's just like everything is sort of delayed. Now I know that she says that early on she said that the nerves that were cut in her neck and the medicine that helped create the issue that made her bottom jaw feel heavy. So the bottom jaw feeling heavy is all we know as the side effect of the nerve damage here. And of course, she said the lack of the thyroid medicine, but that was months ago. What we're looking at to me is I want everyone to understand that this video has not been manipulated in speed in any sort of way. The length of time that it takes her to blink right now is much longer than it typically takes her to blink. She is clearly, and I'm not going to say that, I'm not going to just jump right off the dock and say she's intoxicated, but she could be tired. She could be, I know that this woman is operating under sleep deprivation. She just cannot pull herself away from, she has to be everywhere on the web, following everything that's important to her so that she can come here and retort. That's the thing, BBK. That is a big ticker. She speaks perfect when she's on the news. When she's going to be seen by 92,000 people, which is 186,000 eyeballs separately or so, she speaks like a regular red-blooded American. I don't know what this is. And, really shame on me for this whole time saying that this is all pill involved, because I don't know. I didn't watch her take the pill. But you can see PST affected your blink rate. I do, I believe that is very highly probable. I don't know what I don't know what the, I know that there's a parameter, right, Mark? So, there is going to be a parameter for the blink rate time for, medicated, and then the blink rate time typically or on average of the PTSD sort of differential. So, yeah, there are many things that could attribute to a much slower blink rate, but you sort of see that blink rate in the change of speech. So, you're seeing the corroboration. Now, if you were hearing the slower speech, but she had the typical blink rate time, benzos do not do that to me. Okay. And then I'm thinking more in terms of opioids or opiate.
That's what they're doing too, which is why I try not to do it. But they were very much the center of the call that took place to the feds and law enforcement, and everybody was bullshit, and including Candace herself before a call was ever made then.
She passed a polygraph, Jody. She is in an altered state. Okay, Joan, I do take I do take your diagnosis. That's intoxication. Yeah. Thank you, Phoenix.
They did it that point to target the children, thinking it was cute, whatever, blah blah. A couple days later, they couldn't figure out what kind of cute little damage they'd done. They want to make sure. And so then the last video chat happens between Candace and she's.
Kim says, my guess is pain med. You can get the profilers. Take a look at her for you, Benny. That ones that can have a channel. They will take request. Blaze. This one's a strange one, right? I mean, if you've studied anything about profiling online, you can adequately, at least adequately put her in the correct personality type, right? There is a lot of available data and information that will help the gumshoe sleuth, start to at least point the compass in the right direction. So, I think that they would probably have. I don't want to speak for them. Yes, I will reach out to them. In fact, I've spoken with Scott Rouse before, and so I think that it would be pretty easy for me to go ahead and at least ask.
One is that very same lie that Candace knows a lot then and has already called in once, already took her agents off her missing daughter's case.
Now, I understand that's what you believe, Jody, but I have to interject here and tell you that she passed a polygraph. So if she talked about times during the polygraph and she's saying those times now, it's the truth as far as the test is concerned.
Or waste their fucking time with in Salter's panel tonight, or whatever you want to call that.
I do have an issue with her. It's just a look at her personality. It's like, my shoes are better than yours. My bike is better than yours. Hey, Tiffany, can you do me a huge favor? Can I get you to email me, please? I'm glad I saw your name. Ladies, can you throw out my email for Mrs. Tiffany? The one that just said, good morning, Theo. Morning, Sandman. Okay. Okay, Courtney. It's used as an investigative tool, not a prosecutorial tool, right? It's used as a tool by detectives. I think it's a good question, but thank you, Casey, because I know that the tone it was asked in. Courtney, it's used as an investigative tool, either to render a confession or elude the detectives and the examiner as to which direction they need to travel with the person being tested. Does their test show deceit, which would sort of rule them in and make detectives look at them a little harder? Or does the test suggest that they're being honest and rule them out, allowing you to, more poignantly focus your resources on someone else that is showing deceit? I hope that that makes sense, right? It's like if you have children, you don't know if your children actually lied. Well, wouldn't it be nice to get a baseline, right? And that's sort of what it is, Courtney, right? So also what happens, Courtney, I hate that you asked that question that way. Also what happens, Courtney, is that when you hook somebody up to the test, even if they're deceitful and don't confess, they're free to go. Then what happens is if they go home, the likelihood that they're going to talk about with someone or behave in a way that would elude investigators to believe that they're now under pressure and their behavior exhibits stress brought on by a failed polygraph test. I hope that that completely brings some clarity to that for you. I'm sorry, ladies, that we had to go through that for whatever her name was. Thank you, Miss Tiffany. I appreciate that. I need to speak with you.
She's like, hey, you should call law enforcement this, and they're acting like it's almost self-serve, giving her advice, like, okay, this is like, I'm gonna call in the morning, call the feds. With the same bullshit lie.
Okay, Jodie Sue. If she's telling the same situation twice now, and she's told the feds, but she was hooked up to the machine before all of that and passed, we have a baseline to believe that Candace is being consistent with the same thing twice, and she wants to report it. Right now, what we're also taking a look at here is Jodie Sue belittling Candace for wanting to inform the feds about a situation. That is troubling. Why would this lady, as a neighbor who has no dog in the fight, be here belittling a woman about her need to stay connected and keep informing law enforcement about the things she hears? That's just totally, you just can't objectify that. It's unobjectifiable. There's no reason why she should be behaving this way she should have no care. There should be not a worry in the world at this point for her, right? She thinks and she's telling all of us she's not involved. So why does she have any stake or any emotion on Candace reporting something in her own child's disappearance?
Same one. I've already called in. And here's where the shit get me. It's like it's real deep. Because I have people in my inbox tonight that are just shocked at this. And I'm like, they're like, we know where Candace is here and lies from. PG's the one telling them. I'm like, no. You got this all wrong. Go back 3 months.
Let's go back 5.5, 6 months. They passed a polygraph, Jodie. Absolutely lean on me. They can even tell how many times you squeezed your butt cheeks together because there is an old school method of passing a polygraph by constricting your rectum while you take the test. Right? The parameters in which you could fool with the validity of the test is much more stringent. Okay? Oh, that's interesting. Thank you for that. I was just informed that Scott H. On his live, he just went in on Jodie Sue and said that possibly there's, in the realm of possibility, maybe she let someone know when Summer arrived home, perhaps. Right? We keep saying that, maybe someone was hiding, someone was watching, someone was already there. Well, in theory, there already was someone there. Jodie. She hears a scream. She sees a flash. She hears and sees everything that goes on in that holler. Very good point, Scott. Very good point. I like that. Not because it's suggestive. Not that it's suggestive that it follows a narrative or the way that I feel about Jodie, but because it's actually accurate, right? We know from Jodie Sue's own statement that her and her son saw the flash of the red truck. So that means at least her and Boogie were watching the house, right? Very good point. Thank you for that.
They're all up each other's asses. PG very much belongs to Keys.
PG does not belong to Keys. I have a woman, and she doesn't even belong to me. So it's some of this verbiage that really goes the stretch, and it kind of shows you where her mind state is in, sort of like I'm some sort of, controller of women. And I am not, right? I am a reporter to women. And then they both move. TCC, absolutely.
Very much works closely with Candace and Dawn as a weapon of helps them spread shit.
Listen, it isn't shit, Jodie Sue. What they're spreading is awareness and their statement, and it has not changed. And they passed a polygraph. Okay.
Like the national empire that it is, you often see Dawn and Candace and Chad's, even if they're quiet across the rest of YouTube. And it's like, hey, sissy, and hey, love you. Whatever. They're buddies. They all.
Now, I will tell you that it is as far as people that are in the service industry. I am in the service industry. I am of service to folks, and it is highly, highly typical for the people that are activists and render service to other folks. It would be very difficult to not form some sort of relationship with the people that you're helping. Now, Jodie Sue, in terms of what you believe is help or helpful, it really isn't for you to measure, right? Because all Don and Candace have to do is tell someone like me, I help keep the hope alive. So to them, that's helpful, right?
They work together. And for eons, pull a massive misinformation campaign.
Let me tell you, I am not constructing any massive misinformation campaign. What I'm doing is giving a platform and a voice to the Wells who both passed the polygraph.
Fuck with their cute games. So, anybody standing there listening that are new to the show, maybe wouldn't realize that.
I want to correct Jodie Sue. A lot of these people, even herself, when you listen to the lingo, you know, you hear the word show, show, show. All these people call it a show. You've never heard me call this a show. This is not a show. This is someone's life, and this is someone that, you know, someone that we've all even tried to help Jodie Sue, right? I like to look at eyes, and hers are closed majority of the time. Is it like this, or is it just this video? There's many different. Yeah, you know what? And her eye makeup does affect the package of looking at her T. But I will tell you that her blink rate in you know the surface of the eyeball that the eyelid is covering is significantly less. Significantly less. I think she's all dolled up because she heard the Netflix rumors. Could be.
But the rest of us have been here for length do know that. But here is Candace offering this new version of herself to a whole new audience coming from Marlena Drain the Well.
So for her to make fun of the new Candace is essentially for Jodie Sue to make fun of anyone that grows inside of their life. Growth is not really something that that you should make fun of, really, because growth suggests that you're moving forward, or at least side to side, or up, or down. Right? Jodie Sue has just moved backwards. Right? She had a family, she had property, she had a septic tank. Now she's in her mom's trailer, or whoever's trailer this is. So everyone else, we continue to move forward. Jodie, you moved backwards 1,000 steps, and now you're stuck there. You have to start formulating a plot and a plan. Like you have access to a vehicle, start Ubering. I don't really know. There's something that you can involve yourself in that would, generate a revenue and an income,
And all the other attention coming in. So
there should be much attention. There should be a lot of attention given to this situation. Okay. Give me just a moment, please. I want to take this moment to run. I want to take this moment to run. Oh, look at there. We on the family page? Uh-oh. Our friend Benny Keys. Some think he is a wild man, but Benny Keys is truly a best friend of the family. He is brilliant. Don will only be doing YouTube. Let's see. Oh, wow. Look at this. This is super cool. I didn't even know this was here. Some think he is a wild man, but Benny Keys is truly a best friend of the family. He is brilliant. Don will only be doing YouTube interviews with Benny Keys from now on. Anyone else that wants to interview Don will have to join Benny's segment. See how he put it in quotes? With Benny as our arbitrator. Benny has a heart as big as his mouth sometimes is. LOL. But the real Benny is 1 in a million, or maybe even 1 in a billion. Thank you, Benny, for always being there for the family. Your heart, abilities, and talent are endless. Love and prayers, Don Candace. Wow. That's something, isn't it? Wow. That is really something. Wow. I am crazy humbled right now. Crazy humbled. This is a big deal for me, right? This is a big deal. You know, this is proof in concept, right? That people in the real world, they can see what we're doing, right? They can see that we're trying to continue to push forward. And they did a video of you this morning too. Oh yeah, this is I do want to ask really quick that we're going to go ahead and run this intro again, because circumstances. That's what this is all about. Prayers. Thank you for all the support. Sorry, I have to remember that after about 5 minutes, I believe, that I have to refresh, or else the sound goes away. So we'll run this from here. And I know Don has turned a lot of hearts around.
Trying to do everything the best I can, you know. That was my whole life, was coming home from my kids. Prayers for Summer, prayers for everybody. God bless you, God.
Thank you so much for AF for that. If you found it in your heart, and you know Miss AF Pennington's situation, I would ask that if you had anything that you could spare. And she's not asked me to do this. I'm doing this all on my own, because this woman deserves. She deserves some help if we want to help. I don't give a dang what she says. Look here. This is AF Pennington's Cash App, right? AF pound, not dollar sign, pound sign, capital A, capital F, capital P, Pennington. Okay. Can somebody put her Cash App in the chat? It is pound sign AF Pennington. And if you wanted to hit her tip jar on PayPal, it is afpennington6@gmail.com. Penny, next time you're in Tennessee, I'm putting you in a dog training suit. I'm coming straight to your house. Hey, you saw me getting shocked by the taser. Okay, so that covers that. Thank you so much again, AF, for that. There you go. Thank you so much for that rap. Thank you. Now, we're going to go back over here, and I want to also very quickly, not very quickly, we'll take our time. I want to show you the family-approved photos. Look at that little girl. Doesn't she look so much like her daddy? It is just unbelievable. She is just the spitting image of her daddy. Wow. So, we're going to leave this here for a minute. This is Summer Wells. She's 5 years old. She's a female. She's Caucasian in race. Her hair is blonde. Her eyes are blue. Her height is 3 foot. Her weight is 40 pounds. Her NCIC number is M47628748, missing from Rogersville, Tennessee. She's been missing since June 15th, 2021. Any information regarding Summer Wells' whereabouts is urged to call 1-800-TBI-FIND. California Thunder says she sees 50-50 Don Candace. I do too. Actually, I do. I do too. She certainly matures. As she's matured, she's got, you know, a lot of Candace in her face as well. But as a youngster, she just was all Don, man. So these are family approved photos. If you decide you would like to share any photos, I would ask that you please gather them from here, okay? These photos are the family approved, which means they are also law enforcement approved, okay? All right.
Here she is with the fucking puppy, trying to change the narrative, trying to fit down some of my skin, trying to reverse roles. And here people think that just a couple weeks out from Candace and Keys calling that same line about, you know, the Summer's body and this and the other.
Now, before there was a situation, Andy confirmed it. He said he didn't know why she did it, but she did make a comment about her daughter saying her dad told her he saw Summer's body. Last night, there is yet a subsequent audio that, for me personally, in my opinion, and when I think about it critically, there isn't enough there for me to make a comment on it. It does have the connotation that someone made a call to potentially a law enforcement official saying that Summer's body was hauled away from an address that wasn't actually her address. So it's you know, it's foggy for me. There's not enough context. But I did ask Andy, why do you think Jodie Sue said that about, you know, your daughter? And he said, I don't know. Now, I will say this. Andy's not had any contact with his children. In fact, there's a restraining, there's a protection order. Although Jodie tried to get Booger one set up, Booger didn't go to court to validate it. So, or Boogie, I'm sorry. Damn. Boogie didn't go to validate it. That was sincerely a slip up. I'm sorry.
And so Candace and PG and probably half of that chat in the morning are going to call the FBI and TBI with that same bullshit.
Jodie Sue, that's been reported long before today and this morning, okay? I sincerely don't think a lot of people are going to call in. Yes, Joan, kids say crazy shit just to get attention. Yeah, they do. So you have to be able to quantify, you know, and compartmentalize different aspects of what kids say during times like this. Really anyone for that matter, right? Everyone is subject to have their very every word of their daily dialogue broken down if it's here. Benny, did you hear Jodie Sue video about her talking about a wood chipper? I did not. I have a PayPal notification. Thank you, Vales. It was for the Truth Brush yesterday. Yes, that will be happening tonight. It will be happening over on my other channel. And I will create, we'll get to it. We're going to get to that. That's going to be 9 o'clock tonight, but we're not going to do it here. We're going to do it on another channel. So thank you, Miss Vales. Thank you for that, Miss Vales.
And I'm sure those guys are going to be real happy. But Candace knew before her and Keys called them a few weeks ago to target and terrorize.
Thank you, Homebrew.
Re-traumatized my daughter.
Listen, we did not traumatize your daughter. We are merely taking apart, unpacking, yet again, what you said that your daughter said. Okay, this is not us victimizing anyone. This is you wanting an audience to believe you're being victimized. That's what I see, in my opinion. And of course, as a man, it's not like I've just happened on to Jodie Sue. Jodie Sue and I have, we have a relationship. Just because we don't talk face to face, this is for me. So this is our form of communication.
With that it was already a lie they were calling it. Because Candace heard out of my daughter's own mouth what had went down in those last days. Between us, our domestic violence situation, Andy, blah, blah, blah. But yet, they used that last time to hurt us because Keith wanted to. And because money was involved then. But here she goes tonight for PG's. Planning on calling in the same shit for a whole new audience, right? And it's hard.
Now, this is the really strange dichotomy of this. Jodie Sue has begged and demanded to take a polygraph. So if her own words that she's said here in other places bring what she's after, why is she actually acting upset? Right, guys? Ladies, sorry. Right? Why is she actually upset? If she wants to clear herself, she should welcome everyone calling in and making, revealing tips, right? You should want them to come in and do that. Because if those tips would lead for you to be hooked to the machine, it's exactly what you want. Is she demanding money from Penny? Yes, she is. I really believe she's not a polygraph candidate. Mark, I believe you're probably right. But that's the thing. We can see hold on, let me just pull it up real quick. This is needed, right? So that we can see at least a couple of different polls of Jodie. Now, this is the thing. Jodie is probably going to retort to this video, and that's fine. But the thing is that Jodie, when everyone is watching your situation here, you have a responsibility to put yourself out there in a light that is going to be consistent, right? Like, I think this should be what Jodie Sue looks like all the time. Not necessarily what she should sound like, but what she ought to be dressed in, you get it, right? So that we see the many faces of Jodie. Neighbor. Here's screen. It's up to 93,000. It was 1,000 people watched this yesterday because we looked at it, or 2 days ago. So I guess still getting played.
Hey, it's me, Adrian. People choose Sonobello because they can permanently remove your...
The Wells family lives across the street from a neighboring property. On mirroring mountains, together they can be described as for a now missing Summer Wells.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jodie Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There's no TV, no noise at all.
Jodie Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before.
What we're looking at is here. The furrow. She's got the expressive traits here. You can see the expressive traits. Her blink rate. We're watching for her blink rate. And you're also watching for the length and the drawl in her voice and her enunciation, pronunciation, right? She's very articulate. She dictates herself well. And she's completely a different person than the person that we just watched, right? Look.
So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash.
I have that right here. I have that. It's in my car right now. You've all seen it. It was on the ground, just laying there, been ran over, wet. It's in my car.
A car that went up Candace and Donnie's driveway. Something about it struck me wrong.
Okay, so you're hearing the speech patterns. Let me see if we can get. Well, we'll take that speech pattern, and we'll measure it against this.
We're getting terrorized. And then what you also have happening? Well, like my earlier video, you have keys and my daughter, surgery and all that shit. Like she should have been coming back here, rest, heal, whatever. And what you have is keys doxing us once again. Knowing a child was gonna I was gonna be stressed out.
So it sounds like two different people, right? Let's go back over here and let's see if we can get a baseline on her blink pattern. We can. I'm looking at it over here on my phone. It's a little bit delayed. So we can get a pretty good blink pattern from this segment right here. Let's go ahead and pull this up.
You're kind of hyper alert.
See your blink patterns?
Property things that happened the day before.
Very normal.
So we were listening for noise. Everything's kind of
very normal on the blink patterns. Extremely normal. Like, with here, we can even do that. Let's do this again. Watch her blink patterns.
Jodie Sue was in her...
Oh, hold on.
It's there, but you want to forget.
On the watch and hypervigilant. That's how Jodie Sue Brown was the very day Summer Wells went missing.
There's no TV, no noise at all.
Jodie...
Her blink patterns... seem to be very... Looks like a red Tacoma in the video. That was actually a Ford Power Stroke.
Wells went missing.
There's no TV, no noise at all.
Jodie Sue was in her cabin with her teenage kids, 19 and 14, waiting for anything.
We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything's kind of quiet.
That's a Ford Power Stroke right there.
The sale...
It's a big truck with and it's maroon and silver trim. But that's the wrong make and model.
Brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land was for sale, leading to a dispute of property lines.
While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace and Donnie's.
That's the thing. Like, unless you have survey tools, like clearly she didn't do the survey line right, because there's an issue now with the property line, which is really a non-issue because they don't even live there anymore. So you've still got Jackie Dobbs trying to get out of the land deal. You've got Jodie Sue pushing the line over on to Dobbs more so that she can create more square footage for her septic tank issue. Yeah, I mean I'm just a girl. Yeah, I'm just a girl.
Driveway. Something about it struck me wrong.
She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. The next sound was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jodie Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. A scream.
Stopped all three of us cold.
Now, did you see that delivery? Stopped all three of us cold. It was a pretty rapid succession of words. Oh, that's cute. They doxed somebody's fucking. Oh, yeah, the Wards live at 4104 too, huh? Okay.
Stopped all three of us cold.
Stopped all three of us cold.
He's supposed to be here dealing with surgery.
Hold on, that's Miss Candice. I still haven't taken a nap, Miss Candice.
But he was like, hey, this is funny, let's talk some on this day. Less than 24 hours after they doxed Dudley and his family and children. And make no mistake, Candace and Dawn are aware, I know that. I mean, this is what the fuck we're dealing with. And there's no way. I know there's a bunch of new eyes and ears, because of Molly.
She's completely altered. Absolutely. There's just no way around it. She is completely. That's it, Sheila. In the state of Tennessee, only a licensed surveyor can actually mark boundaries for legal purposes. Now, in the sale of the land, it certainly seems as if surveying would have been part of the closing costs, right? I don't know.
Very well, and they're up to a fundraiser, and Stone her own piece of that shit. Whatever.
Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all three were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
Very successive blink rates there.
Vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jodie Sue.
Although she did have, the sun sort of on her face.
Wrong.
But I guess the sun's coming from this way, so it's not right in her eyes. But she's definitely what you would call. I mean, I'm not a polygraph examiner, but I would tell you that she seems to be in a state that would be testable here, right? Like you would think that you would gather a baseline from this Jodie Sue, right?
It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance kicking into overdrive. Jodie Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank.
Now, they went out to see about the scream. They went out to look at the scream. Was Boogie seen in the search that day? No lies. What did No Lies say? She reminds me of Eeyore. Oh. Can you play that text message I sent you from Jodie Sue? Homebrewed, is it in my email? No, because you already heard a contradiction. What was the contradiction? You mean the contradiction in what Booger said and what Jodie said? Yes. He said it was an animalistic scream, and she said it was not an animalistic scream. Yeah, let me take that back. She's going to call this doxing. This is a grown-ass man, and he made the decision to go on the news. So this isn't doxing.
Is this?
You made your son a public figure is what you did. No one would even know about this man had you not allowed him to go on the news. So this is what the play is right here. They're trying to build up the fact that there was a scream, right? Now, let me move forward let me move laterally, rather. Oh, God, I'm not going to go searching for it. Oh, here we go. There was no TVs and no noise at all, said the 10-year resident of Ben Hill Road. She was in her cabin with her 19 and 14-year-old children waiting for anything. That doesn't make sense. Waiting for anything. Oh, because of Dobbs. Gotcha. We were kind of hyper alert because of property things that happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everyone was kind of quiet, said Brown. While we were out at one point doing survey lines, and there was a flash of a car that went up Candace's and Donnie's driveway, she recalled. Something about it struck me wrong. She and her family next heard a truck door slamming and dismissed it as their neighbors. But something had already struck her wrong right here. So they dismissed it. And then here she says her and her family. But they dismissed it after saying something struck me wrong. The next sound they heard, though, was harder to justify. About an hour and a half before Summer is thought to go missing, Jodie Sue, her son, and her daughter heard something far more suspicious. Hold on. She told the neighbor she thought the door slam was the neighbor, but she told all of YouTube the slam didn't sound right. It was heavy. She didn't recognize it, and that's why it struck her as odd. Bam! The scream. It stopped all three of us cold, Brown explains. Her daughter was the first to go to the cabin door. Then all three were there, listening still. We heard this shrill, almost animalistic scream. My son and I decided to go out and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank, didn't see anything, didn't hear anything, she recalled. They went on with their evening and the kids returned to being kids. Well, she only has one kid. The other one's a grown man. Like, what did you mean? A 19-year-old return to being a kid? That's not what you want. Jodie Sue said she headed down her driveway around 6 p.m. to 10 Flowers. Okay, hold on. Cash App. Who we got here? Miss Leah. Thank you so much. It's plenty. Thank you, love. Okay. Right, to turn to 10 Flowers with her purse. Correct. Thank you so much, Rage, for that. Amen to that. You are awesome. If you're feeling tempted, please find an Alcoholics or Narcotics Anonymous near you. Immediately. Call a friend. Call a family member. Tell them how you're feeling. Okay, so headed down her driveway around 6 p.m. Is that what she's continued to say? She said she went to meet Andy, and he said he called and said he wouldn't be, and he would be half hour late. I believe she untied that big dog so it would kill Dobbs. But was Candace looking for Summer at 4:30? Yeah, Jan, they keep they send it and then they cancel it. So I don't know what they've got going on. Mama Jan. Okay, so Penny, where are we at here? God, I wish you were up here. That's why she had her purse. She walked down to meet Andy. But that's not what she said. That's not what she said. She was down there before 6 o'clock, right? Yes, Mark, there is an obvious aftermath. And I can say definitively that they had looked at that dog. They know where that dog's at. It's been moved. I thought the call from Andy happened at 4:45. Yes, she did. Yes, Susan. Grammy, thank you so much, love. Yes, it was before 6. Yes, 4:45. So here she's telling the paper, or WJHL, she's saying that she went down her driveway at 6 p.m. to 10 Flowers, essentially for a half hour until Andy gets there because he's a half hour late. So what happened? I guess what happened to everything else, right? Like in the creek, I guess maybe we're going to get to all that, right? Hold on. And at this point, I started hearing them holler for Summer. She said, by the third, I knew something was wrong. And then my brain immediately went scream earlier this, uh-oh. Brown was the first to hear those calls and the first to join the search for Summer. At 6 o'clock? at 6 o'clock hour, she went down to help search. That don't make sense. I dropped my purse, she said. I tried to up at Candace, and I'm looking, and I started looking. She said she hollered up to Candace, and Candace couldn't hear her. She said the answers are with dogs. Dogs, yes. Yeah. And then Andy, when we were talking about the dogs one night, he said, "What are you saying about the dogs?" And I said, "I haven't said nothing about the dogs." And he said, "Don't say anything about the dogs." I have never attempted to break her down this way, but you have my attention. Okay. Brown searched one side of a creek while Summers' brother checked the opposite side. Candace was coming down the drive. This is when Brown says she's in the creek. She had like a big bull mastiff. Yeah, big old dog. So she searched one side of the creek while Summers' brother checked the opposite side. Candace was coming down the drive. News Channel 11 asked Brown if she had reported the scream to police. She responded, "Oh, absolutely." But 2 days later, she said she saw a truck without clear coating or dusty, but she says up above it was a car. Okay. Brown searched one side of a creek while Summers' brothers checked the opposite side. Candace was coming down the drive. News Channel 11 asked Brown if she had reported the scream to police. She responded, "Oh, absolutely." But we do know it was 1 to 2 days later before she was interviewed by the police. That's what it was. Okay. I think the third police car by this point had started to come in. I stopped it, remembered Brown. I was like, "Look, I heard a scream earlier." There is a confliction in that narrative right there. Brown has been interviewed many times by investigators bringing up the scream often. Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson doesn't believe the scream is related to Summers' disappearance. Now, that mildly lets you believe that Ronnie Lawson, for a moment in time, believed that the scream was even real. Because here he suggests, yeah, there was a scream, but we don't believe it was related to the disappearance. Now, flash forward to current time, the scream was unfounded, was the word. Unfounded. The word unfounded means it has no foundation or basis in factuality, right? It's not built on a foundation of facts. So we've eliminated the scream. In fact, even we've heard Jodie Sue say, "I wish I could just delete just throw out the scream. Forget the scream." Okay, unfounded. She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI. We don't find anything with that complaint or information related to this case. Jodie Sue Brown wishes she could go back to a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer. "I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to dismiss it." Well, let me tell you what. You tried to dismiss it. It doesn't say here that you did dismiss it. It said tried to dismiss it. That's not a successful dismissal. Referencing the work of the FBI, TBI, and his own deputies, Sheriff Lawson reiterated in an interview the same week as Brown's that the investigators have found absolutely no proof that an abduction has taken place. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay, let me, I have to close this for a minute. Come over here. I'll get to that, Nicole. I don't want to lose my spot here.
But they're also targeting us for other reasons. Have not a damn thing to do with money.
You're being targeted for money? What do you mean? Like you have a bunch of money? Targeting you for money.
But I guess she's going to make another fake call over the same fake ass lie. She already told once to the feds, making that fake ass call to them. Fake more of her.
It's not a fake ass call, Jody. What it is them relaying things they've heard to the feds, love. Like why?
Missing daughters, agents time in the morning, and to target and terrorize my kid, and to keep re-traumatized for mine. So much shit ain't sick, y'all. And I'm just like, I don't care. Like, let them make all the calls they want.
Exactly. It's their child. It's their nightmare. It isn't yours. You are trying to be the dictator of someone else's nightmare, and it's disgusting. You've tried to appoint yourself, the sovereign president of their tragedy. Guess what? You've made more money off their daughter going missing than they have. They've only lost. You have gained. And let's be real. You're out of an abusive relationship, allegedly. So life is looking up.
I don't have shit to hide. They're just wasting their own daughter's time. They're wasting those agents.
Wasting her own daughter's time. Let me tell you what. The only thing Candace has right now is time. Okay? There is no silly calls to run informations by. Like, guess what? Maybe, just maybe, this case could be solved because someone didn't take down a note or a tip or whatever. Jodie Sue? Gosh, dog it. Mary Murphy, I don't protest. Why would I go with them assholes to go protest? That doesn't even make any sense. I don't protest. You know that. Don't ask silly questions you already know the answer to. Yes, she's the dictator of someone else's nightmare. Seriously. She wants to be the police of their tragedy. She wants to tell them how they should traverse through this tragedy. They need to do it her way or else she's going to bash the family. Now, let's step back. Jodie Sue, they passed the polygraph. All of this is cute, Jodie Sue, but guess there's another thing. They passed the polygraph. Let's talk about two more things, Jodie. You and Booger said you saw the flash of a car, but you dismissed it as the neighbors. You also claimed that you saw the man face to face every day for 2 weeks, inches away, and that you needed a sketch artist. And if you needed a sketch artist, it wasn't Don. You know what your neighbor Don looks like, right? So this is all like you have created this rat's nest for yourself. And now the only way that you feel you can, walk your way back out of it is to supplicate to the people that watch this in the panels that put up with your BS. Supplicate to the negative energy, because when negative energy gets more views, it seems like it's the truth or it's fact, right? Sorry, I'm getting fired up, but I'm not going to curse because I am so above cursing and just the ad hominem attacks. Like, I don't have to talk about Jodie Sue's appearance because I'm smart enough to attack her credibility. I don't have to attack her appearance any longer. Sorry. I could see that there was a patch of grass over here from inside the garage that seemed like it was dry. Everything else seems pretty good. Yeah, it was definitely dry.
And luckily slash unluckily, I'm the only one to have that surgery, like I said in my video. But we are trying to figure that out this morning when, you know, everything opens. So, yeah. I see what I'm not gonna do. Next time, I'm not gonna say a word. Smart me.
I think it would be impossible for you to keep your mouth shut next time. Thank you, TZ.
That way they just, no blood, no water.
Let's go back over here really quick.
Three were there, listening still.
We heard just this kind of shrill, almost animalistic scream.
Animalistic, but not an animal.
Knew it was, wrong. It wasn't a dog. It wasn't an animal.
That vigilance.
Okay, so you have the contradiction there. But in the news article, it says all three of them heard the scream. So you have Jodie Sue that said it's not an animal. You had Booger that said it was an animal. What does her daughter say? Because you didn't even have to separate Jodie Sue and Booger very far to get different stories. So what does the third party say, right? It's like 2 against 1. Like what does the daughter, does she subscribe to Jodie Sue that it was not like an animal? Or does she subscribe to Booger's and that it did sound like an animal, right? Because that would make all the difference at this point, right? Like I have a feeling that the daughter sways with Booger. That's what I think.
Kicking into overdrive. Jodie Sue and her son went out to look for the source of the scream.
My son and I decided to go out, look and see what we could see. We went back onto the bank. Didn't see anything. Didn't hear anything.
They went on with their evening. The kids returned to being kids. Jodie Sue headed down her driveway around 6 to tend to flowers.
And at this point, I start hearing Candace hollering for Summer. And then my brain immediately went, scream earlier.
But remember, the Wells passed the polygraph, and Sheriff Lawson said the scream was unfounded, which means it did not have a basis in factuality.
Yes.
Jodie Sue was the first to hear those calls and the first to join the search for.
How could Jodie Sue know she was the first to hear the call? Because Jodie Sue said many people came out. Many neighbors were out there. She said that. How does she know she was the first out there?
Summer.
I dropped my purse. I tried to yell at Candace. I was like, I'm looking, and I started looking.
Jodie Sue.
What she said is she yelled up there, but Candace couldn't hear her.
Searched one side of a creek. Summer's brothers the opposite side. You gave statements before.
Now, what I do think was funny was that when Jodie Sue made a comment the other day, because I kept pushing on the no meth needles in the creek. You know what's funny? Her retort to me was, wrong side of the creek, dumbass. Which meant that the meth garbage was on her side of the creek. Well, I dare say if people go up Ben Hill Road to use drugs, Jodie Sue's property is on the left-hand side going in. If you use your mind, doesn't it seem like if you use drugs when you went up the hill, When you came back down, you would throw your meth garbage to the left, which would be the Wells property. Do you mean to tell me that people driving into Ben Hill throw meth garbage on your property? Because what you said was that they go up there, use their drugs, and then throw their meth garbage in the creek. So that would mean that every single time somebody came down there after using drugs, there would have to have been someone in the right-hand side of the car to throw the shit out the right-hand side of the car into your creek. That just doesn't right? Like when you think about, that's how you have to break it down, right? People didn't go up there already high. She says they would go up there to get high. Think about it. You're on the left side of the vehicle. It makes sense that the shit would be in her side of the creek if they went up there and used it on their way out before they hit Beach Creek. They threw their shit out the right-hand window because that's where the steering wheel is, on Jodie Sue's side. It doesn't make sense. I mean, it's just that simple.
Right?
Oh, absolutely.
Jodie Sue had been interviewed many times by investigators, bringing up the scream often. But the sheriff doesn't believe the scream is related to the disappearance of Summer Wells.
She's been interviewed numerous times by not only my agency, but the TBI and FBI, and we don't find anything with that complaint or information related to this case.
Jodie Sue wishes she could go back to just a short time before Summer disappeared and before the scream she believes was Summer.
I wish every day that when I heard that scream, I hadn't tried to do something.
What she said the other day is that she wishes she could remember what she heard Don and Candace talking about as she came down the hill. She keeps saying meth needles, right? They couldn't be cocaine needles or heroin needles. It's got to be meth trash. That's right. But she said that too, Chicos. She said, is there a hypnotist or some shit? That's it. Hesitation and quick glance to the right indicates he doesn't consider her credible. Yeah, right now what we're doing is we're focusing on Jodie Sue. So there would be some applicable subset questions that would rise, but we're really focusing on Jodie Sue right now. Hi, Benny from Ireland. Was this video sent to TBI, FBI? I don't know. If you ask Jodie Sue, they're watching and listening to everything. So I don't think that they're listening to YouTube as much as they are just listening to people's phones, right? Like when you're a person of interest, a certain shit goes out, certain stuff goes out the window. Sorry. That's my that's my second one. That's pretty good. Now, you can smoke heroin and you can shoot up meth. You can do them either way nowadays. Penny?
Referencing the work of the FBI, TBI, and his own deputies, Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson reiterated in an interview the same week as Jodie Sue's that investigators have found absolutely no proof that an abduction has taken place.
There. Now, what I always say when they say that, absolutely no proof. Well, guess what? Has anyone ever left their car door unlocked and you come in the morning and something's missing? I mean, it's missing, but you have no proof of where it went, who it was. Nothing's broke, right? So my contention is that a successful abduction would lead no traces to point to. Holy cow! How do we think abductions go unsolved? Because they can be perfect in their design or just plain lucky. Pendar, word on the street is no, they did not do a search of Jodie Sue, although the way that I heard that is hearsay. I don't have anything. I heard it from a reliable source. Pay attention to her eye direction and then go watch her behavior panel. Wait a minute. You mean she's been on the behavior panel? Exactly, SMUW. They're not going to pull off and just chuck it into. They don't just want to just keep putting trash in Jodie Sue's shit. They just throw it down the window. Maybe she mentioned needles and druggies, accessories because she threw them into the creek when she saw police. Maybe that's why she went back to take her purse to get rid of evidence. Drug evidence, absolutely could be. Probable.
And either way, but that too in itself is them. It's like if you notice the continuation of sharing our videos. Then if you look over at what PG and all them playing, like they're obviously cut, spliced. She's cut.
Had a Cash App come in. Let's see who it is. Granny Goose! Toothbrush fund. Toothbrush. I mean, we might even be able to just get her a colonic. That's as far as I'm going to go today.
Calling on people to come get the videos and record them before. Well, and then they're sitting there and cutting and splicing. Chad's even telling her, we can't understand it, man. It's not my normal speech problems. It's because they're cutting and splicing. Even I'm like, what the fuck is that? And it's because they've had to cut and splice. I mean, they have, oh my god, it's quite apparent it's being done. So, yeah. And then notice they kicked people off panel tonight, and this and the other that were like, that's not what was said. There you go. Tells you everything you really need to know.
Hey, Molly's toothbrush. I'm glad you've made. Glad. Yeah, well, guess what, Paige? If you know who's throwing them in there, then you know exactly what kind of needles they were used for, right? Izzy, Nita Benny, email me.
What the world sees, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day if the world does or doesn't. I think at the end of the day it matters what law enforcement sees.
It looks like a funeral parlor director put that makeup on. Look up in her hairline. I'm not going to go deep into it. I'm just saying. Like, them edges are messed up. Sheba Mom. I have supporters that support me and my research, the time that I spend doing this. Not only that, but most of the proceeds that I make from the YouTube go right back into helping somebody else. And there's going to be ladies here in the chat that could tell you that definitively. Okay? Gotcha. Penny said, watch her eye direction and then go watch the behavioral panel to see what they say about eye direction, right? Gotcha, Penny. Thank you for that.
I can't imagine my child miss. And then,
can you imagine your child being missing and Candace acting like you? That's going to be opioids. sis. Benzos, barbiturates, fentanyl, stuff that creates slow motion. Tiffany, great observation. Izzy Pop,
Spend my time on
I'm getting many emails. I'm probably probably 1,500 emails behind. This is no lie. This is no lie. Yes, no lies. I'll tell you, I always pay it forward.
ass little games and being shit faced the entire time.
She's talking about somebody being S-faced. Like, hold on.
Everything's kind of quiet.
The sale brought a plethora of people to their door, confused about which piece of land.
Alert, because of property things that happened the day before. So,
And more worried about money.
Who sounds shit-faced, guys?
And that's the thing. Far before I spoke out, this shit show had nothing to do. I wasn't here. I wasn't there trying to help in person. Actively. And protecting my own family just like I'm still having to do, even though I'm not living on the freaking opposite hill.
See, she's just making herself a victim. Not understanding that the very just continuance of coming online and stirring the pot is really where her issues are coming from. She's either misguided about where it's actually coming from, or she knows and she's deflecting it.
Crossman and pedophile. I'm still at. I was in there.
Speaking of pedophiles, I want to raise an interesting situation here. Jodie Sue, it was spoken on Scott's channel. Jodie Sue is connected to a man who was charged with the facilitating and the commission to commit sexual exploitation of a minor. He claims he was set up by Jodie Sue, and that evidently she planted some evidence in his case, allegedly. That's an issue, right? That's one of her friends. I'm not going to give you any more information than that right now. I'm going to try to speak with him directly and see if he would care to come and render a rebuttal.
Searching, trying to hear whispers, tips, trying to figure out whatever the fuck. In person. Now, even in there, while the rest of us were doing all of that and trying to help. And
she's trying to help, she said. Oh. That sucks, because it's one of those sort of, non-takeaway moments when someone says, "Oh, I'm trying to be helpful," and you're like, "Would you please stop helping? Like, your help is not helpful. You're helping make the mess bigger and wider and taller and, everything else,
Do anything we could to help. Those two were more worried about silly-ass YouTube games, bullshit, drama, money. They weren't even paying attention to their own daughter's case. And
well, guess what? They've got feelers out all over social media, just like you, while they have the TBI, the FBI, Hawkins County, probably Center for Missing and Exploited Children. There's many agencies. I don't know what they say, over 80 agencies. What can they do that the police aren't already doing? And here you go, just continually bashing them. Well, let me tell you what, you and Boogie saw a truck, heard a scream, and you saw a face that was not Don's. And they passed a polygraph. Holy shit. It's just getting this longer list of things that you have to go through when Jodie Sue says something silly. It's getting to be like I have to write them down. So when Jodie Sue says something, I'm like, okay, guys, disclaimer, she just said this, but remember all of these things by law enforcement that disprove or unfind what she's saying. I mean, totally.
You know, as community members, they become a lot.
Housekeeping. She is close to drooling oatmeal off her chin. I agree.
And ask questions. And dumbass, that's what I answered it. They're like, oh, that's where the dog stopped her. What footprints? Or there.
So yes, she wanted to tell me about footprints. And I said I didn't know about any footprints. Then she proceeded to tell me all about the footprints. That, Jodie Sue, is what you call investigative tact. Why would I come right in and agree with you and not hear that? That was a constant tonality in our conversation. She would tell me about something that I already knew about, and I would say I didn't know, so that I could hear her version. But inside her tiny mind, she doesn't think that deep. So she thinks you just asking about a footprint because you don't know. Could never be that you do know, but you want to hear what she's going to say about it, right? So if you have investigative tact, she's going to call you a dumbass. I don't know who the dumbass really is.
That's how they got there. Right? It was like, holy shit, dude. Even in there, they weren't paying attention. They were more worried about this. I watched them live in person do the same shit. They ain't gonna damn. And now I'm over here and I'm speaking.
Oh, she's doing something everyone else isn't doing, right? That's what you're getting ready to hear. I'm sure of it. She's over here talking.
But I watched them do the same thing without me speaking.
Now that came out all jumbled. I don't even know what the hell that is. Hold the phone. Wait a minute. That was not at all what. Where are we at here? 4350. Somebody try to translate that, would you?
Watch me do the same thing without me speaking.
Watch me do the same thing without Miss Penny. That's what it was.
It looks like they're actively, possibly, potentially trying to set us up like there were at least two others.
Set you up for what? You're free. What do you mean? You've suffered some sort of setup? What happened?
Live in real time here. In very real fucked up ways, with like planted shit and erased cameras. But, you know, now here I am, and I'm here too, and I'm just watching the same thing.
You're not watching anything. You are, oh shit. You are actively trying to steer this. Sorry for the curse word. You're actively trying to steer this. I don't know what you mean, like you're trying to present yourself as this sort of passive bystander in all of this.
Same shit. Money and YouTube matter to them more than.
She is the authority. I tell you what, she is a true authoritarian over everyone else's existence except for her own. That is amazing. She is what she says Andy is. I am convinced she is, and I'm going to use this word, I ain't said it all day. She is a fucking narcissist. Fuck you mean? Back into character.
And they still get their information from other people. They have, and that's the thing. It's just like, that's how I know that Candace knew better than what she was calling in the first time a few weeks ago. It was a lie.
Listen, she passed a polygraph.
And here she is. She's going to, like, I'm hoping they really just like just say, did you really call back in with this bullshit? And
That's what you really wish that the investigators would stop taking tips, is what it sounds like, Jodie Sue. Now you want to control what the FBI and the TBI hears. Like, I do believe that you are a worse narcissist potentially than Andy. You may be the very thing that pushed him away. He said he told me he couldn't deal with your, his words, shit anymore. Like, you do got a lot of shit, right? Like, I see Andy sitting in the passenger seat next to you, letting you run your mouth about stuff that doesn't have anything to do with you. Guess what? You're sitting there talking about all of the perm tests and the leach fields, and it's somebody else's property. It's not even yours. I mean, what the hell? If we've not proved anything today, we've proved that she actually does take something that puts her under the influence, right? She's insists over and over and over. Listen, if you got a hurt back, you take medicine so you can still move through life just without pain. Guess what? If you take the medicine that is prescribed to you, it treats the pain and you do not get this effect. You get this effect when you take more medicine than your pain or your anxiety requires. This is, I am well versed in sobriety and what it looks like. I just had a sister that everyone knows the story. This woman is in the grips right now. And I would dare say that I don't know if she's in actual self-denial about, I can see a decline in her physical appearance as well. Look at her. Look at the state of her. Look, watch.
We were listening for noise or
That's a whole different Jodie. That's a completely different Jodie. Look. Completely different. You guys let me know in the chat if that's too close.
I'm just like, dear FBI, if you come tomorrow, I'll probably...
Yeah, this is in the zone of abuse. No. You mean to tell me that everyone that has anxiety that gets a benzo, when they take the benzo, that's like permission to like just tap out for the day? Like, okay, fuck it, I have a little bit of anxiety. Let me take too much. Or this is not her everyday regular dose.
Going to the afternoon. Making an afternoon visit. If you need me, you know. But I'll be here. Just not.
I'll make myself available to help if you want it. There's really nothing else I haven't said online. So that's probably the only thing I've told the truth about, is that everything I say is online. So you don't have to come talk to me anymore. Listen to me. You should be able to have a variation of anxiety at work, take an emergency benzo, and continue working for the day. Like, continue computing and interacting with colleagues and, assistants alike. You can't compute nothing like this. You're having trouble keeping your eyes open. Listen, I guarantee you during this video, I could randomly just hit the space bar, and every time it pauses the video, her eyes will be closed. Right? Look. I'm not. Okay, there I caught her. I swear, guys. I shouldn't be able to catch her eye blinks, but I can catch every single one. Where is her brow bone? It does seem sort of flat, doesn't it? I think it's way up here. Right? Looks like an eyebrow way up there.
Whatever. Sure.
This overuse of alloprazolam, Xanax, clonazepam, Klonopin, diazepam, Valium. Definitely one of these. This is coming from a person who has done it also. No judgment. Been clean 48 years. Oh, clean for 8 years. Been around it all. Nice.
Well, it's rehashed the same shit she's already called in once. No better, man. But tomorrow, because my kid's sick, and I'd really like to have her taken care of first, so she can maybe go back to some normality in her own life.
By your own admission, you're homeschooling. So can you imagine, like, well, here, you've got Jodie Sue's trailer. Imagine her daughter trying to do schoolwork. Well, actually, like this. Imagine her daughter trying to do schoolwork in this end of the trailer. Meanwhile, Jodie Sue is over here behaving like this and smoking cigarettes back to back. Like, how? How could you have any sense of normality? You vomited that she said her dad saw Summer's body? Like, she's right there right now with you. What about this is normal, Jodie?
That she really needs. Regular afternoons.
Spoke of the devil. Fuck it. Sorry. Smoke them if you got them.
That's the difference. I'm just doing shit that I've known, still don't. These people, though, they're just.
She has an opinion on someone else. But the funny thing is you've never heard her opinion of herself, other than just a victim. If you ask her, tell me something about yourself, Jodie, the first thing she'll say is probably, I had encountered an issue. We'll resume.
Special breed all their own. It's fucking chaos. In
You know what I see? I see a woman that has zero forgiveness. Something happened that slighted her so badly that she turned against the people she was trying to help find their daughter. Now, let me tell you what, even if Don and Candace lied on me, that still doesn't change the fact that I saw someone else's vehicle that was a different color, right? Heard a scream and saw a potential suspect that you wanted sketched. But you have turned on these people like a dog that's been kept on a chain. Let's say this, Jodie, with those three things, the sketch, the red truck that you knew but dismissed, or your son dismissed as the neighbor, but you knew it had a clear coat or it was dusty. You knew there was something about the sound of it when it went up the drive, right? So we got the scream, the vehicle, right, and the sketch. All three of these things, very high key points that suggest anyone else except for Candace and Don. And now here you are, you've turned around and you've bit the hand. You've bit the hand of a victim. Guess what? Even if Don and Candace lied on me, is bad. I mean, even if they said, F you, Benny, we don't want you around us anymore. You know, you're a GD loser. Don't ever talk to us again. I wouldn't, but I would not come on here and change my behavior based off of ego. This is a ego-driven woman who is clearly a narcissist, and because at some point she felt slighted, she wants you to forget about that scream. Why? Not just because the sheriff said it was unfounded, but there's another reason. Because Lawson said, and it said in the article, she was interviewed many times and every time talked about the scream, but they ended up labeling it unfounded. So is she mad is she really mad at Don and Candace for anything, or is she just resentful at Don and Candace because she came out like this star, like she was going to be this person, this effeminate force for Summer's army, but everything she says is unfounded. And so that must bring a sense of real public embarrassment. And so that embarrassment for what she's misdirected it. Her emotion isn't towards Don and Candace. It's towards law enforcement. But she's not, the depth of her, it's not vast enough to identify that, unfortunately. Because here we are, we're all having to brunt the side effect of the fact that she can't identify her own character traits.
Hey, bestie. Is it snowing outside? So anyway. Yeah, watching that. Fucking farce. Something else. I can't figure out, like, is it...
I mean, I'm not even trying to be funny. Like, she resembles a corpse right now.
BK and the new PR rep?
There's no new PR rep. It's the same guy. Like, the guy that's the media manager, I guess he's an all-in-one, right? I mean, he handles, yeah, I guess you could say PR, right? He handles the public relations for the YouTube media. He is the one that aligns, the John Walshes and the Dr. Phils, and he's a very influential man in the media market.
Fucking farce, something else.
I sure hope that somebody doesn't ever see these videos of her and think that her daughter, needs an intervention to keep her away from all of this YouTube stuff. Like, at some point, someone is going to identify that this woman is bringing this craziness on herself. Let me tell you what, she had 423 Chase put her up in a room for like 4 or 5, 6 days because she was afraid of her own life. So she continues to shift the fear onto other people. One moment she's scared of Andy. One moment she's scared of this. Another moment she's scared of that. One moment she's scared of me. One moment I'm doxing her. One moment this. One moment that. Like, Jodie Sue. You're a public figure. You are a public figure. I dare ask anyone to Google generically, go to Google and put in Jodie Sue Brown. Right? You're somebody. There is no more doxing or no more public information. You are a public figure. To some of these people here, Jodie, you are a celebrity, a celebriton.
I can't figure out, like, is it BK and
Why don't you stop trying to figure out YouTube politics and try to figure out where the fuck this little girl is at? You got all the fucking answers. I'm pardon my French. It's gonna be a rant. You got all the fucking answers. Why the fuck you stuck here? Bitch, by the time you figure out the fucking YouTube politics, bitch, this shit will be over and that little girl will be fucking 10 years old. Somewhere. And you want to elicit and elude to everyone, solicit and elude to everyone that you got the fucking cryptic key locked away behind all the fucking Xanax. Well, I mean, behind your eyelids and the Xanax. But you are in rare form. Look at the fucking state of you. You can't even put on makeup good. Like, we're dumbasses. Okay, I'm a dumbass. I'm so dumb that I keep you attached to my puppetry. You're very easy. You're very simple. I can tell that you have not been in a lot of serious relationships, right? Other than Andy. You may have had a bunch of flings outside of that, but like emotionally, like you've been kept in a box. You think you're vast, but let me tell you what. You could put a bird in a cage and it can read a book, but that don't make it worldly, right? Doesn't make it worldly.
the damn PR rep? I don't think, yeah, I don't think.
You know what's funny is that Tim Mullins is the Wells PR rep. You want to see what old Jodie Sue's PR rep looks like? Let me show you really quick. Here it is. Here's her PR agent. This is him. This is him. Right? So, I don't know. Right? I guess it takes all kinds. But this certainly don't seem like it's it. You know? I don't know. Yep. It's really it's flagrant, is what it is. Let's get a baseline again. Let's smell the coffee, remove the scent. Let's get a baseline.
Property things that had happened the day before. So we were listening for noise. Everything was kind of quiet.
Let's ruin the baseline.
The R rep has lost control of his circus.
This bitch is starting to remind me of a heroin junkie. The rant's over. This woman starting to remind me of a stone cold heroin junkie. Like the cigarette. Like I wonder how many of her clothes have burn holes in them. That's what I want to know.
Although the puppy makes me think maybe I don't know. But I know what. Two, 3 nights ago, in one of the chats,
This is too much.
Burger King wouldn't answer the phone for Yahoo on the hill. He's like, I'm real sorry, Daddy. I'm sorry. And so, a problem thing ensued.
I'm sorry. That's having the ability to accept forgiveness and to project forgiveness. That's what real human beings do, Jodie. Like, I don't know. It seems like you lived a whole life where you ate, grew potatoes and ate venison. Like, there's a whole, like, ethics of living and being a human that clearly you don't know about.
Because BK told them that if he did any other YouTubes, he wouldn't have shit else to him, whatever. And suddenly, here they are growing up full.
Go to sleep, Jodie. Good night, team strategy. I'm not going to give any more breath to this junkie. I'm sorry. I apologize. I can't do it. I think that we've garnered enough information for today. We've sort of went through what I'm willing to look at. Like, I'm not going to sit there and watch her fucking burn her trailer down, right? Like, I'm sorry. That's kind of yeah, they know who she is for sure. Does police in this town know who she is and that there is a child under her care? Oh yeah, they know. Yeah, they know. Got a Cash App came through. This is troubling. Like I just gang. DD, the D, Miss DT in the house. Thank you, love. Yeah, benzos maybe. I don't know. I don't see. I couldn't fit into her profile heroin. It's something that's going to be more readily available, and I don't know, TT. It's not my. No, so did I, Ange. I grew up the same way. Yeah, I don't know. Guess what, Kelly? Have you ever been to rehab? It's usually people that are in recovery that teach the classes. So, yeah, kind of that's the way it works. That was silly. Anyways, that's about all I have for right now. I'm going to go ahead and escape into something, see what else is going on the web. And, I want to say to AF, thank you again for everything. You're so appreciated. And I hope that you received the gift last night. All right. So anyways, guys, that's all I have. We're going to wrap it up for now. Love you guys.
How are you, sir? Hanging in there. Just praying for my daughter, buddy.
To go ahead and bring Mr. Wells on. Can you expound on that a little bit? Because I have not heard anything about that. I don't know nothing about that. I hate that we have to see each other again under these circumstances. That's what this is all about. Prayers. Thank you for all the support. I mean, I know Don has turned a lot of hearts around.
Trying to do everything the best I can, you know. That was my whole life, was coming home for my kids. Prayers for Summer, prayers for everybody. God bless you guys.
God bless you guys.